Hi guys, today we're looking at the IWC Spitfire Chrono, model number 371702. Now, I'm going to run over the specs of the watch quickly. It has a 42mm case with a 14.7mm thickness, water resistant to 60 meters, with a 44-hour power reserve. There's a soft iron inner case to protect the watch from magnetic fields. It has a domed sapphire crystal with anti-reflective coating on the inside and outside of the crystal. And the watch has a caliber 79-320 movement. Which is a chronograph movement, as you can see, with a day and date and a hacking seconds hand. So, okay, that should cover the specs. Now, the three things I really want to cover in this review are the dial, the movement, and the bracelet. So let's start with the dial. It's a really interesting dial. There's so many layers to it, so many different heights and textures. It's extremely visually interesting, and it's obviously so well just made. You can just see the quality when you look at it. So let's start from the outside of the dial. We'll work our way inwards. On the very outside, you have your minute markers. It goes 5, 10, 15, 20, etc. And then you see the individual minutes have just a marker instead of a number. So then next we have our hour markers. There's numbers besides at 3, 6, 9, and 12 o'clock. Here you can see little dashes, and at the top there's a triangle with two very small dots on each side. Now all these numbers have lume on them, so they're easy to see in the dark. And beneath them, on that outer ring, it's a pattern. It's a pattern, I guess, of concentric circles. So it's not just a plain silver ring running around the outside of the watch. It's really nicely textured. You have to kind of look closely to see that, but it's there and it's really nicely done. Then once we move a little further inside, you see this inner circle. Now that is a brushed, I guess it's steel, a brushed steel area. And you can see the circular brush marks running around if you look closely. And now in the subdials, these also have a concentric circle pattern. So there's a lot of different textures and heights. The subdials are a little recessed. There's a little height difference between this inner silver ring and the outer ring. So there's just so much going on this dial. I mean, with the raised numbers and all the different textures, there's a lot to look at, and it's much more interesting than a lot of pilots' watches, which tend to have really simple, plain dials. So if you find a regular pilot's watch dial a little boring, this is a good choice for you. Now, the hands are just typical pilot sword-shaped hands. And they also have lume on them. And the lume on this watch is a bluish color, not your more typical green lume. So now let's talk about the movement. Like I said, it's caliber 79-320 movement. And what it is more specifically is an IWC 7750 chronograph movement that IWC buys and heavily modifies before it's put in the watch. So what IWC does is order the 7750 movement unassembled, so it's just a bunch of pieces. They throw out some of the pieces and make their own pieces to replace those, and when they're done with it, you end up with something that's definitely of a higher quality than your standard 7750 movement. Now, the 7750 is a really common chronograph movement. You'll find it in watches in everything from the few $100 chronograph that you'll buy off the TV up to stuff like Omega and Breitling, lots of other brands will use an ETA movement, and they all do a different degree of modification. Sometimes they'll just engrave their name on the rotor, and other times they start replacing parts to upgrade it, like IWC does in this watch. So though it's not an in-house movement, it's definitely of higher quality than your typical stock ETA movement. So while it's not, at the pinnacle of watch movements, it's really good. And if you don't know, in-house means that the manufacturer completely makes the movements on their own. The last thing I should mention, the chronograph functions more specifically. You have your day here, your date here. This is a 12-hour counter. Here's a 30-minute counter. And here's your seconds hand for the chrono. And this here is your seconds hand for the watch. Now the watch is unwound now, so that's why the hand's not moving. And then here's your start, stop, and reset pushers for the chronograph. So now let's talk about the bracelet of this watch. This is a great bracelet, and it's really loved by everyone who owns one. Now before I go into the specifics of the bracelet, let's talk about the price, because that will tell you something. This watch, like you see here on the stainless steel bracelet, retails for $5,800. It also comes on an alligator strap, and that retails for $4,400. So you're paying $1,400 to upgrade to this bracelet. Now that's obviously a very expensive bracelet that really can rival some of the top brands out there in terms of cost. Now why is it so much money? Well, the first thing is it's extremely well made. Just running your fingers over it, you just feel how cleanly machined each piece is. They're very smooth, brushed really well, a very smooth, nice brushed finish. Now let's look at the clasp. This is a push button clasp. All you do is push in here and it pops open. Now look at how they decorated the inside of this. That really shows you how much effort they put into making this clasp, and it's really a beautiful finish. And I haven't seen that on too many watches. Usually it's just a piece of pressed metal. So to decorate like this, I mean, that's really putting some effort in. And now another reason, and maybe one of the main reasons why it costs so much money, is the link removal and addition system. And I'm just going to pop open the box here and pull some stuff out to demonstrate how this works. Here's an extra link from the watch, and this is the little toolkit that comes with it. These are just two pushers, and now what you do with these is, as you will see here, there's two little circles on this. Well, there's one circle on each link. There's a little spring underneath this circle that locks in the pin. So what you do is push in at this little circle, and while this pusher's still in there, you'll grab your second one and just go on the top and just push out the pin. So that's instead of your more typical either screwed in pin or just a pin and collar friction system. So I'm sure this takes a lot more manufacturing effort and skill to create a system like this. And when I'll show you in here, you can see all the little circles on the second link in here. Sorry, there we go. So it makes it really easy to add and remove links, but it adds a lot of cost to the watch. It's a $1,400 upgrade. So it's a great pilot's watch. It has a lot of great features, and if you're looking for a silver dial watch, I would say this is definitely something you should consider. So this is the IWC Spitfire Chrono. Thanks for watching. If you want more reviews, check out my channel.